True me to God, peace in war times. This is called the Book of Daniel, chapter 7, part 1, by Zane Koch Ve Lechet NoopooH / Uyuu Tar Kinu Unu NoopooH, Noon Ethiopian year 60, NoopooH embryo year 96, 11/24/22 is when this writing first started. Martian Mars hour 1:56 p.m. to 2:48 p.m. 22 degrees Gemini, the flesh, 6 minutes and 34 seconds. And this will be in the third deacon. Listen to sound right reason. Via us, the 9 Ennead of original creation, this writer Uyuu Tar Kinu Unu NoopooH has been given a new name by us, the 9 Ennead, because he, Tar, has earned it, and is also because it's time to show what Noon the science can do. Now here is the meaning of Tar's two new names for the cycle. Zain means 7 in Hebrew, and it's in reference to us 7 orbs planets that align February 5th, 1962 AD. Koch Ve Lechet is Hebrew for planets, meaning walking or going star because of our rotation around our husband the sun. Uyuu means 7 in universal language of us the orbs. His whole name is Uyuu Tar Kinu Unu NoopooH, Black 7 Power, or Black 7 Orb Powers. Since Zane Tar Kinu NoopooH is interpreting the book of Daniel by way of sound right reason, it is only fitting he has a Hebrew name while he, Tar, explains the miswritings of these chapters falsely called mysteries. Also, Noonaboos know what the word Hebrew really means. It is written that the Jews are descendants of Shem and that Abraham was their father. This is true in the sense that Shem is the East Indian people and that Ham is the Phoenician people, and the Jews were extracted by the moon god from the East Indian and Phoenician peoples. The words Jew and Hebrew are confusing to some people because many people think they are the same in meaning. No people can be true Jews or true Christians by nature, but Caucasians. The word Jew is short for Greek, or a short combination of the words Greek and Hebrew, and the word Hebrew means star worshiper or black, because the original Hebrews were star worshippers and the surface of the true stars are black in color. However, the Jews adopted the term Hebrew because they are derivatives of those East Indians or Phoenicians who were Hebrews. Therefore, when the term Hebrew and Jews are used in the Bible, most people think they mean the Caucasians of Judaism. In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. Hebrew is a variant of the word Geber, sometimes spelled Geber. A Geber is a fire worshiper. A true star is fire, ether, fire. The sun of our solar system is one of those true stars. There were Ethiopians who were Hebrews too, meaning woolly-haired people who were Hebrews. However, since the Jews have possessed the term Hebrew for themselves, let them have it. Let us not try to reclaim it, because the woolly-haired people among the other Hebrews were only being used anyway. Moreover, the original Hebrew writers of the book or the Bible were Ethiopians and Phoenicians, being used by the moon god to reprove the Caucasians concerning what they were doing to darker peoples. And for those who want to know what that is, you can get the Catholic Bible, and it has 77 books in it. No, I think it's 72, right? Because I think it's missing 6 books. But if you read some of those books in the Catholic Bible, they pretty much show you what the Greeks, who were Caucasian, and the Romans were doing to the darker peoples. Okay, so if you just want to get a idea of that, and when you read some of those books, that stuff took place between the last book of the Old Testament, which is Malachi, to the first book of the New Testament, which is Matthew. So when you read certain those missing books, it tells you how the Greeks and the Romans specifically were running around destroying darker peoples. Alright, so being used by the moon god to reprove the Caucasians concerning what they were doing to darker peoples, but the moon god knew that the Caucasian would persecute and even kill the reproval. But this was part of the game the moon was playing to keep the moon cycle in progress and the Caucasians in power. And this is why Jonah rejected the calling, and other people of the Old Testament complained and murmured against God, the moon god. In light of the foregoing paragraphs, we can easily see the people in bondage and captivity in the Bible were darker people, especially the Phoenicians and Ethiopians. It is written that the Hebrews lost their tribal identities around 4 or 500 BC, but they never were any 12 tribes of Israel in the first place. The Hebrews who began losing their identity around the time were not the Caucasians of Judaism, but the Phoenicians, because around the time of that time is when the Caucasians started their cruel persecution and suppression against the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians started going wherever they could escape those atrocities and brutalities. Excuse me. Bible Interpretation and Explanation, Book 2, number 20 through 22. Listen to reason. The Cain offspring of Adam and Eve were not allowed into the Garden of Eden, Africa, and Asia until 1,000 years after Adam and Eve had been banished from that paradise. And that was also in the Gulf of Aden is where they actually were. But that part, the Gulf of Aden, Arabia, and all that's a part of Africa. And so is Asia. Alright, we're not allowed into the Garden of Eden, Africa, and Asia until 1,000 years after Adam and Eve had been banished from that paradise. The descendants of the first groups of Caucasians to migrate from Europe, namely Greece, to Africa and also Asia, are called Jews today. And this means that Caucasian Jews have a 1,000-year culture jump on other members of the Caucasian race. These Caucasian Greeks, Jews, did learn about natural law and order and the administration at that same and the administration of the same from priests or rulers like Cheops, Khufu, who allowed them to become inhabitants of Africa and Asia and excel in the arts and sciences or the Memphite theology of Egypt. The letter J, as in Jew, is interchangeable with the letter G. So once again, they originally, all Caucasians came from the Aegean Islands, but the Greeks, who they're calling the Jews in Noon, once they left the Aegean Islands, because they got kicked out by the darker Abel group, kicked Cain, aka the Caucasian Jews, out, and they for 1,000 years went into Europe for 1,000 years. Then they came back, and remember, Cheops or Khufu was ruling Africa and Asia and Europe at that time, and it was a blockage put up, what you call it, a ban, when they couldn't come back. But when Cheops came in, he let the immigration ban down, and that's what allowed the first set of Caucasians, which are known as European Jews, right? They the ones who came back into Asia, then they ended up in Africa. Alright. As in Greek, to put it another way, Caucasian Jews were originally Caucasian Greeks who became Caucasian Hebrews, practitioners of some culture before they became religious Jews and organizers of their own culture called Judaism. The conspiracy to dethrone and depower kings and rulers of Africa and Ethiopian race descent continued with Melchizedek and his general called Abram. Abram mentioned in the Old Testament of the Caucasian Bible. This conspiracy eventually led to the invasion of Egypt by the Hyksos, Greek Caucasians, and the oppression of Egyptians by these white foreigners from Asia. And these are called white Assyrians, the Shepherd Kings, Hyksos. All of that was just the European Jews that came in because of Khufu allowed them, and then they worked their way up from like I said, they started gaining power from Thutmose the first all the way to Thutmose the third. And Thutmose is the one that they kicked them out and gave them safe passage back to Asia. Thutmose the third is who became their Moses. They just took Thoth off and you have Mos, and then they created Moses off of that. So Moses was not part of the Caucasian race. He was actually a Phoenician who they had invaded Africa and Kemet starting from after the 6th dynasty. So the Phoenicians, which are dark skin and dark hair, some of them had red hair because of their phenotype and their genetics. Me and the Noop did a video about the those Phoenicians that people are mistakenly calling Egyptians or Kemites because they were there by location, but not because they came from that part of the land from Lake Victoria. That's a whole nother story. All right, so look up the Hyksos or White Assyrians and you will see what we're talking about. All right. By these white foreigners from Asia, namely Assyria, Melchizedek was a Phoenician by race and also a sun worshiper who conspired with Abram, who was indeed a moon worshiper, and an East Indian by race who paid homage to the moon god Shiva, same as Siva and Sin. Be it remember, Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 2, pages 132 to 133. We all hear very little, if anything, about the spiritual science of the ancients and sages of antiquity was before and prior to the advent of the history of Adam and Eve 6,000 years ago. Their spiritual science was Sabaism down through evolution. Sabaism is a phase of pantheism. And likewise, Sabaism is a part of the science Noon, like the principles in this book. Philosophically, Sabaism, and it means true star worship or admiration to the true stars for being the visible creators of the universes. And these stars of the cosmos are the sons of the universe of nature. The original primary Hebrews of antiquity maintain that the true stars of the universe of eternal nature are the growers and controlling God of the cosmos. Of course, the cosmos is the universes of absolute nature. Moreover, the original and true culture of planet Earth is sun culture. But moon culture became the main lifestyle during the past and last 6,000 years. If this writer, the physical scribe of this book, will classify religiously, he will be called an original Hebrew via sun culture. Sun culture in the positive and 9 is true culture. Etherly, the number 9 represents the original positive in eternal nature. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, pages 10 through 11. In other words, true culture will be established in Africa 2029 AD at the Lake Victoria location. Which you see, Lake Victoria, which is the birthplace of the African race's ancestors, sits between Uganda, which is basically Wakanda, Kenya, and Tanzania. All right. Ethiopian Africans with kinky woolly hair on planet Earth are the original growers of the universe in our gas form and the stars by extension. Hebrew is another way to say Sabaism. The fact that many can't find more proof outside of religious information because they are looking in the wrong places. We, the Ennead, 9 orbs, God, Zang, Tar, Kotve, Lichet, NoopooH, the black 7 walking, moving orbs to uncover what the Bible interpretation and explanation and the introduction to the nature written by the orb's great nephew, Amun Nuburakapata / Afro Unu had mentioned in a few paragraphs. Let this be known. Alright, so when you do a little research, you look up astrology Sabaism and look what comes up. Right? Astrolata, the hidden astrology lore, says this. This is the lore coming from the myth of Sabaism, the culture of the what? Star worshippers. See? So when you go back up here, you see what Afro Unu was using that term. See? Sun worshiper. When you start going into the Hebrews, Afro spoke about this. See, true star worship, Sabaism is part of this science Noon. Like the principle in this book, philosophically, Sabaism, it means what? True star worship. The true stars for being the visible creators of the universe. So some are given honor. The original primary Hebrews of antiquity maintain that the true stars of the universe of eternal nature are the growers and controlling God of the cosmos. And we know this for a scientific fact. If you are able to mess with any of the suns in the universes anywhere, it will cause chaos. Because the suns are the first to be created and they are the brain and heart and the functioning controllers of all the planets and all of that stuff like that. So that's why this is very important. All right, so let's get deep into this thing with the Hebrew, because we got too many people don't know how to access more information about what the word really means. Excuse me. All right. Hebrew is another way to say Sabaism. The fact that many can't find more proof outside of religious information because they're looking in the wrong places. All right. We the Eniac 9 orbs, God Zayn, Tarkatvi, Letchet, NoopooH, the black 7 walking, moving orbs, to uncover what the Bible interpretation, explanation, and introduction to the nature of nature, written by our, the orb's great nephew, Amanubi Rakapata, Afro Unu, had mentioned in a few paragraphs. Let this be known. Alright, so we come back down here. It says what? Sabaism, the culture of the star worshippers, the ancient Chaldeans, to whom Master Sabe brought the knowledge of astrology dating back to the great culture of pre-Devonian times, meaning before the flood, when the face of the earth looked very different. Long ago, our solar system was created perfect. There were 12 planets. As you can see, the term star worshippers was literally used by Afro Unu in both writings on pages 2, 4, and 5 up above. This is easily learned in what's called astrolatry. Alright, this is another thing y'all need to look into. Astrolatry is the worship of stars and other heavenly bodies as deities, or the association of deities with heavenly bodies. Once again, Noon science explicitly tells you that the orbs are gods, or really goddesses, because the sun is male, the moons are male, but the planets are female, and those are his wives, but they all are deities, and they all control human beings on planet Earth. This is what the zodiac and the natal chart is about, and they use spirit forces also to help control. So this is right along with what Afro Unu says. So astrolatry, aka Hebrewism in its original state, and Sabaism deals directly with that. Now watch how this all lines up. Alright, it says deity with heavenly bodies. The most common instances of this sun gods and moon gods in polytheistic system worldwide. Also notable in this association of the planets with deities in Babylonian and hence in Greco-Roman religion. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. See, the term astrotheology is used in the context of the 18th, 19th century scholarship aiming at the discovery of the origin of religion, particularly primitive monotheism, unlike astrolatry, which usually implies polytheism, frowned upon as idolatrous by Christian authors since Eusebius. Astrotheology is another religious system founded upon the observation of the heavens, and it particularly may be monotheistic. Babylonian astronomy from early times associated stars with deities, but the heavens are the residence of the anthropomorphic pantheon, and later of monotheistic God, and this retinue of angels is a later development, gradually replacing the notion of the pantheon residing, convening, or covering on the summit of a high mountain. Excuse me. All right, so astrolatry is another thing y'all got to look into. Sayce 1930 argues a parallelism of the stellar theology of Babylon and Egypt, both countries absorbing popular star worship into official pantheon of the respective state. But we know in Noon that the stars or the suns are self-grown. They are first to come out of the chaotic waters after Kepra, which is space and matter combined and grows and impregnates matter in the darkness, and then the first sun that spins off all of the smaller suns come into being, and then the lights come on, and then from there all of the orbs or the suns start putting each solar system into organization into what you see today. Astrolatry is the worship of stars, and astrology is using the stars to learn about the past, present, and future. This also includes planets and moons. Learning your natal chart will help you as well. Listen to reason. We can see that astrolatry, star worship, is actually Sabaism, and Sabaism is a phase of Noon and pantheism. Here's the gematria and the numerology. See, astrolatry comes out to 121. Noon science come out to 121. So when you start getting into Noon, all the way from the Bible interpretations to the 9-ball to the moonset sunrise to the introduction tape of the nature to introduction to the nature books 1, 2, and 3. You will see at the beginning of all of those books, you will see that the sun or the stars is given reference for being the visible creator of NoopooH. Okay, so NoopooH started all these things, and NoopooH took over as the secondary creator, which changed the formula and the colors and the purposes of these stars, because what the stars look like now, they didn't look like that back then. In the beginning, those stars were emanating red light. All right. This is why in the beginning of the introduction to the nature books, you will see this. See? In the beginning were the sons, and the sons are with nature, and the sons are nature, and the sons, the true stars, are the gods and grew the absolute nature into universe order. These are scientific facts. Remember, NoopooHs do not worship anything. However, they give honor and respect to us, the 9 orbs, and almighty nature in general, as to what roles we play in existence, and that we are not mindless pieces of matter floating in farther space with no purpose. Although there are passages in the Bible against all worship, especially the sun, this does not stop the fact the Torah has a star on its cover, flag, the symbol of Judaism, and more. So let's take a look at this. See? Hebrew Bible, and it has a star on it. All right, we're not going to get into the 6 points and all that stuff, but we do know that the points also stand for 6 ether, which are the brain nuke gods that run the bottom half in the sun by way of gamma radiation. All right. See, in the newspaper, the Jewish Star. Daniel is called to the Torah. This is a bar mitzvah on Saturday, April 16, 2022 at 10 o'clock in the morning. Remember that number 10. All right, this is the Jewish flag, which is a star. Let's look at some of these quotes. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Seth. This is the Magen David, or the shield of David. Is a 6-pointed star. Used in many ancient cultures for decorative purpose, rarely held religious significance until recent history. Once you get into that, you'll find out this didn't become used by them until like the 17th century. So it's a lot of history that must be brought back into alignment and visual, so those of us who didn't know can understand why being ignorant and kept ignorant is people's greatest superpower against us. Revelation 22:16 chapter. Save, I Jesus have sent mine angel to testify unto these things in the church. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning what? Star. 1 Corinthians 15:4-1. There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon, and another glory of the stars, for one star different from another star in glory. There you go. So even here, they're being given proper respect, because they all are gloriful, and they also serve purposes. Just glory is not just looking at something and saying, oh, it's beautiful. When you understand and find out that these orbs are conscious and that they do things on a regular and they affect your life for the positive and negative, you have to honor them and give them respect for that. The same way human beings want to be honored and respected for the things that they do, whether it's good or bad. It's not really a difference. Even though these objects are way bigger than us, we still share the same creation or creator or creators, which is NoopooH as far as the black race is concerned, the Ethiopian race, and then the brain nukes that brought in the other races and animals and stuff like that. But the unification is that brain nukes are pretty much the same in all matter and composition. It's just that 9 ether brain nukes do things different, and 6 ether brain nukes do things in opposition and difference than the 9 ether brain nukes. But they come from the same source. All right. Revelation 2:12 28, and I will give him the morning star. Matthew 2:10. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Revelation 8:11. And the name of the star is called wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many died of the waters because they were made bitter. Daniel 12:3. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Remember, intelligence is likened unto light, and the sun are the first things to be born, and they bring all the intelligence needed to put all the planets in the solar system in order and create all types of life all the way down to human beings. All right. Psalms 84:11. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord bestows favor and honor. No good thing does he withhold from those whose walk is blameless. It's clear that Sabbatism / star worship, star honor, is the foundation of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, as well as all other religions if you look deep enough. We, the 9 oils, will have Zain Koch Ve Lichet NoopooH, Uyu Tarkinu Unu NoopooH, give more clarity on Sabbatism in future videos. 9 is the Ethiopian black race number. Look at the gematria. See? Sabia's helper in black Hebrew. So when you start again, you got to get into the information to go further if you're trying to prove certain points. And I don't have to use religion to do that. See? So that's the whole thing. You have to find other things that verify what you're claiming to be. That's like taking a comic book and saying, okay, the book says Superman came from Krypton, and then you just using comic books to try to verify your own statements in your book. No, the proper way is to verify what you're saying outside of your belief or your books, that those information was not written or tampered with by people that wrote whatever that you follow. Okay? That's just simple and put. You need evidence from other sources outside of what you have to verify and support. That's the best and honest way to do it. Because if you're using your own book, whatever that is, to say, oh, well, this book say this, and then you go to another chapter, or somebody who's following the same thing, writing something that's not proper, it's not true, and it's not honest support. That's deception and trying to control the narrative. When you got facts and science, all that in history, all correct information will always line up. It will never go outside of itself. Only lies and truth will always bump heads, and that's why I always laugh when people used to ask me to debate when we in Noon. If I'm studying Noon and you studying Noon, what are we going to debate if we following the same thing? You understand? That person is negative, or persons are negative, and they not really following the information because they have a lower vibrational agenda, that they are against the truth. Even if they saying, well, I don't like this person, but if you so-called following the same thing and you still gunning at a person that's into the same thing, realize you're creating your real agenda. Your spiritual self, your nature wants to create problems within the information that we're both following, not the person you with. Because if I say what I'm saying and you come by and say we need to debate that, that's because you got a problem with the information or the person, and then you are discrediting or discounting that. I don't care if I make what we both follow and look bad, because I want to make this person look a certain way because I have some hidden insecurities or jealousy or envy or whatever, and that makes no sense. So I would never debate somebody who's following the same thing, because now I'm attacking the truth with the truth, and it doesn't work that way. Let this be known. Daniel 7:3. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Explanations. Listen to Zane's sound reasonings. There are not 4 beasts, it is 7 beasts, which are us 7 orbs, who aligned February 5th, 1962 AD. Alright, and here is the natal chart when the orbs were lined up in the Aquarius zodiac house, and this is why if you read the Revelation videos I've been doing before this, you should be caught up by now and do some outside research. All right, so you got Mars, Saturn, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter. All right. The first beast is Martial or Mars. The second beast is Saturn or Saturn. The third beast is NoopooH the Sun. The fourth beast is NoopooH the Moon. The fifth beast is Mary, Mercury. The sixth beast is Venus. And the seventh beast is Jupiter. The C is actually space, where we, the nine Eniac, came out of the chaotic waters of Nun, waters of nine ether, to your ancient kinky-haired Kemet Egyptians ancestors. This happened 5 billion plus years ago. Remember this well. The diverse from another means, if you look at our orbs' physical appearances, we don't look exactly alike, and we now orbs do different things. So I'm just rereading the quote again. See, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea. Remember, this is the chaotic waters of creation, diverse meaning different from one another. So I'm just bringing that back. So when you look at all of the orbs here, from the sun all the way to Neptune, they are diverse or different. Okay? It's a little bit of color that's similar between Jupiter and Saturn, and then, Uranus and Neptune, and even Earth got a little blue there, but they are different in their functions and what they do. That's what the quote is saying. All right? So once again, this is totally opposite to all this beast that Revelation was talking about, that they put in there to make you look at something that you can't prove unless you're into a science lab and you can make a 7-headed beast. But it's nothing natural on the planet Earth that will fit these descriptions these books are saying, because it's symbolic. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Explanation. This is me, NoopooH the Sun, which our NoopooH represent the zodiac Leo sign. Secondly, the heart mentioned in this quote speaks to the opposite of the Leo sign and Noon signs. The Leo becomes the heart when NoopooH turns the zodiac into the Nodiac 18 million years from now. So as you can see, on the bottom half, we have Aries to Pisces, but on the top half, Leo turns into the heart. All right? Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 3, page 50 of the PDF, written by Afro Uno Circle, 2007 AD, released in 2012 AD, by his wife, Miss NoopooH. All right? Daniel 7:5. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Okay, here's another misrepresentation because of the dealings of those who took and put their hands on these writings and made them appear to be crazy looking. Explanation. The deception is that all interpretation of this quote is that it's a bear, and you have seen this animal depicted this all over Judaism and Christianity. So this is what you see mostly when you read these things, whether it's in the book of Revelation or the book of Daniel, or I think even in the book of Zechariah, if I'm not mistaken. But this is what you usually see. So we know that this is not correct. All right? This depiction is false. However, the clue is in the statement, a second like to a bear. Let's look at the word like in Aramaic Hebrew. All right, so if you go into the dictionary of Strong Concordance, you get the word dema, meaning to be like, right? 1821, number 1821 in the Strong Concordance. To be like means to be similar, not one and the same. That being said, this question is asked, why is a bear placed in these interpretations then, as if that's what the verse said? If it was a bear, it should have stated that Daniel saw a bear. But that was not the case, as he said about the lion. The bear is the same as the Leo sign, which is a constellation. The bear is called in the zodiac Ursa Major. See? The bear. Alright? And it said that the bear had 3 ribs in his teeth. Well, you can see the 3 right here. Because it's not really about teeth, but you're looking at what? You got 3 constellations here. When you look around, you see the lion, Leo, the 3rd beast constellation at the bottom. Remember, these are 7 beast orbs as mentioned on pages 14 through 15. But the Bible editors only mention 4 for confusion purposes. There is no planet that represents the bear. However, there are 2 constellations that are near Ursa Major that have 2 orbs that are called beasts in the book of Revelation and in this book of Daniel. One is the Cancer constellation, which is right here, represented by the moon, and the 4th beast, and the Gemini constellation represented by Mercury, the 5th beast. See, in the northern hemisphere, Gemini sits between the well-known constellation of what? Ursa Major, the Great Bear, to the north, and Orion Hunter to the south. Right, so you got to count 3. So you got Cancer, and you got Leo and Gemini, which is the twins. I'm gonna show you on another. I'm gonna show you another picture, and that's what the 3 bear. They said those 3. It just basically saying that they're close to the Big Dipper or Ursa Major. It doesn't mean that there's a real bear with 3 ribs in his mouth. All right, that just means somebody must have been hungry when they was looking at reading these and misinterpreting these books. I'm just playing. All right. So, see, look, in the northern hemisphere, Gemini sits between the well-known constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear to the north, and Orion Hunter to the south. Look, sandwiched between these 2 obvious star patterns, Gemini can be easy to overlook. But look, you use the word sandwiched, and that's a word of food. And it also means to be what? Close. When you sandwich, that means you're close. And this is why the book states that the bear had 3 ribs in his mouth. See? Because there's 3 constellations that are close to the bear. But they did this to throw you off. Let's look at the picture. See? There go Gemini right there. See, Ursa Major, the bear's right here. Gemini's easy to overlook because it's right in the middle. See, Leo right here, there go Cancer. See? So now we got 1 bone, 1 rib. With the Leo, this Cancer is the 2nd rib, and Gemini is the 3rd rib, right there, right in front of the bear's mouth. See? Mystery solved. Daniel 7:6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of its 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and the dominion was given to it. So now we see the term what? Like a leopard again. See? So we know that like means similar, but not really. Explanation. Notice like or similar to a leopard. First thing you should notice in the word leopard is the word Leo. Thirdly, leopards and Leos are part of the cat family. See, are leopards related to lions? Leopards are powerful big cats closely related to lions, tigers, and jaguars. They live in sub-Saharan Africa, Northeast Africa, Central Asia, India, and China. However, many of their population are endangered, especially outside of Africa. So once again, clues. Comparing the cat family, lions, tigers, jaguars, leopards, snow leopards. Listen to Zane's sound right reason. This quote is repeating the beast orbs mentioned on page 15. The sun is mentioned as a fowl and had 4 heads. Now before we jump ahead, all this is doing is talking about the sun again, but this time instead of calling the sun a lion, they will say a leopard this time. All right, so the Bible does that. It's called because of the editors. Because any book that's dealing with information and wants you to remember it, it have repeats information. That's why in the book of Revelation you see the term 7 candlesticks, 7 stars, 7 horns, 7 plagues, 77777. That's completely mentioned over and over and over again. But it's talking about the same topic, but it's giving you different versions of the same thing, making people think because they worded that way to make you look for 7 horns, 7 candlesticks, this, that, and the third. But the leopard is the sun, is what I'm saying. All right. The sun is mentioned as a fowl and had 4 heads. In Noon Science, Afro cleared up this up on why the Bible uses birds as examples of power and movement. All gods and goddesses, see, such as the sun, earth, and moon are what? Bird-like by nature. This is why the Bible writers said that. After this, behold, the Lord, another like a what? Leo, leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. See, so now it's saying the sun got wings. So let's go back down here. Watch how Noon clarifies this and update it for now. In Noon Science, Afro clears this up why the Bible uses birds as an example of power and movement. All gods and goddesses, such as the sun, earth, and moon, are bird-like by nature in the sense that they are in flight or in the air at all times. It is a matter of fact that spirit beings are bird-like and air-like. All right, end quote. So this is again talking about Sabaism, right? And astrolatry, which is dealing with the orbs or the planets, are gods and goddesses. So Noon is putting it back into its proper place. All right, introduced to the Nature Book 1, page 197 in part. So you can see why these so-called beast orbs are said to have wings. This is why the sun was called a leopard with wings on its back. Let this be known. Daniel 7:7. And after this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had a great iron teeth that devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Explanation. The 4th beast is NoopooH, the moon that aligned February 5th, 1962. Alright, see? When you count them. See, Mars, Saturn, the sun, and what? Moon is number 4. Alright? The reason NoopooH, the moon, is called diverse or different than the other orbs beasts because he is a satellite and not a planet or a sun. Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night vision, behold, a 4th beast, which is the moon, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. End quote, in part. It has been proven that I, NoopooH, the moon, have iron metal inside my body. See, look, a lump of metal in the moon. See, likely made of nickel and iron is a metal. Okay? Iron Giant Moon Mystery is a deep metal structure bigger than Denmark found buried below the lunar surface. Alright, Daniel 7:7, and it had 10 horns, end quote, in part. Explanations. Now that you know that there are 9 orbs and that 7 of us orbs are being focused on in these quotes, it should be clear the orbs do not have 10 horns, and that it has a clear explanation using sound right NoopooH's reasoning. First, let's deal with the Hebrew number 10. Right, so when you go into the numbering of the Hebrew alphabet, you see yard, right? And its numerical value is 10. Alright? Hebrew hand of God, right? The letter yard. The 10th Hebrew letter yard is pictured at right. The rabbis picture yard as a hand. The letter yard is the most common letter in the Hebrew Torah. In fact, the traditional teaching yard is a part of every letter, although for some letters that this is a stretch to see. The Christian picture is hand of God. It speaks of the unpraised hand of God, the hand of authority, often pointing the finger is discipline. Listen to Zane's sound right reasoning. The Yah, hand of God, and Noon are spirit beings respectively. A Noonabu is one who sees absolute nature as the one supreme being. The spirit gods and goddesses of nature as the arms and legs, emanations, the angels of the one supreme being. Introduction to the Nature Book 1 in part. As you read, spirit beings are the arms and legs, and the hand is at the end of the arm. Look at the gematria. Look at that. Spirit, right, and yard. Look how all the numbers line up. 17 and 71, they just reverse. Also, if you take 91 and add it, 9 plus 1 equals 10, which is also the number value of the the yard letter. Can't make this up. See? Yard, 10. Spirit beings, that's the spirit being number. Listen to reason. Spirit beings, spirit gods together with the spirit goddesses produce offspring and helpers are the results of brain concentration done by what? Universal orbs such as the sun, earth, and moon, and are thereby reason minds. The brains of these universe bodies are located in their centers. The god sun, the goddess earth, and the god moon are too huge to do things that must be indeed done by beings much less in size, and this is where individual spirit beings come in. See topic the spirits of nature by reason and the gods of nature by reason given in part 1 of this volume. Spirit beings existed before flesh and blood beings, and they helped and still do help in the creation process whenever and also whenever necessary. But their main duties and objectives are programming and controlling what? Persons, places, and things. Alright, see how Noon clarifies this? Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, pages 169 to 170 in part. Let's get more information on the Yard, aka spirit beings. The letter Yard, the 10th Hebrew letter Yard, is as small as a dot or point. The Yard represents the creator, the single point from which all of creation emerges, and the unity within multiplicity. It is the foundation of all foundations, the hidden divine spark which causes everything to be. It represents the power of the spirit to what? Govern and guide the matter. See? We just read at noon sign that spirit beings what? Program and control persons, places, and things. It's the same thing because govern means to rule. Okay? And guide. That's what they do, whether it's good or bad. The letter Yod, a small suspended point, reveals the spark of essential good hidden within the letter Tet. The letter Tet. Tet is the 9th Hebrew letter. It's the symbol of the goodness in all creation. Now look at that. It's the 9th letter, and this is the Tet. And look, we're on page 27. Can't make that up. 2 plus 7 is 9. It has to do with purity and impurity, teaching us to choose the good and also the realization that even within the bad things that happen, there's hidden good. Tet also represents femininity, pregnancy. It includes the kindness and mercy of creation and the principle that everything is eternal and nothing is ever lost. Tet's essential is feminine, representing the number 9 for the 9 months of pregnancy and shaped like a womb, a spiral, a container where things change and transform. It is the field of manifestation, the essence of the feminine that contain all in her. The infinite is contained in Tet, and it brings about the finite. Listen to reason. The letter N in the word nature does stand for nothingness, vacuum, 9, negative, nous, no, north, nous, noon, nurture, nobility, and nourishment. It is true that nothingness is infinite vacuum and that it may be called space. The positive is 9 in space, 9 in matter, and 9 in time. For 9 and 6, the negative are opposites who also represent all other opposites in nature. While we are on 9, let's look at the letter by letter meaning of the word 9, which is noble, intelligence, nurturing Ethiopians. Note that the acronym, the first letters of the words of this phrase, noble, intelligence, nurturing Ethiopian, notes that the acronym, the first letters of the words of this phrase, noble, intelligent, nurturing Ethiopian, spells 9. The noble, intelligent, nurturing Ethiopian by race is NoopooH, Nous, and of course NoopooH is Noel, the head pioneer of creation, culture, creativity, and the smack circle of order. Nurture is a word that refers to education, and NoopooH is the supreme educator by nature, and Noon, of which this book is a part, is the philosophy and science of NoopooH, and NoopooH is sound right reason by nature. Let it be remembered always, and let it be known. Introduction to the Nature of Nature, Book 1, page 26. To learn more about the Tet, purchase the book NoopooH is the Theta and Tet in the Bible by this author, Ta Kinu NoopooH on Lulu.com. Tremendous cause of peace in wartime.